Hello everyone, welcome to Stash Chats. This is probably going to be our last episode of Stash Chats for the year. So thank you so much to everyone who has watched all of our episodes of Stash Chats so far. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, we've spoken to some really amazing guests, including former sewing bees and loads. This episode on YouTube straight away afterwards as well, in case you don't manage to catch it all. So today I'm going to be talking to Ruan, who is the Yorkshire Sew Girl. Oh, she's joined. Hello, Ruan.
First time.
I know. I'm trying it on a different phone today, so you're our first person who's been a success first time. So.
Oh, my head looks really big. Let me go back a bit. No one needs that in their life, do they? There we go.
Success. So how are you doing, Ruan?
I'm good, but just to give you a little bit of a laugh, I was sat here an hour ago.
Well, I did this with Kate's Stash Chat, and I chatted for 20 minutes on live on my own. And I was like, where the hell is she? And I was like, I'm just going to carry on, just going to, keep it professional. No. Like, I'll be like, oh, I'm sure Kate's going to be here in a minute. And then I'm just there, like, rummaging around, picking up things, trying to show it to the camera. And then I was like, oh, actually, I'm supposed to be here an hour later.
I don't know whether I got mixed up with the fact that it's the 7th and 8 p.m. So I was like that to my kids, no one come near me, keep it quiet. And then, I was sat up here and like, I went onto your stories and then there was a countdown and it was like 1 hour, 1 minute. And I was, what have I done?
That sounds ideal, honestly. That's pretty genius. You've got yourself a whole extra hour of peace.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. So the kids are still downstairs like, shh, Mom's upstairs, shh.
I know they're going to be like, what did you talk about? It was ages.
Oh, no, I know. So I've gone and told them, but they will be going to bed at some point while we're chatting. So no doubt we'll hear screaming and shouting. But I have I've bribed them with chocolate. So hopefully we'll see how we get on.
Hopefully. So do you want to kick us off by just telling us a bit about you and about your sewing journey?
Sure. Yep. So I've been sewing now for about 10 years. Well, I suppose it's probably coming up to about 11 years really, because my eldest is actually 11 tomorrow. So I was one of your, cliche watch the sewing bee type of thing. And when I had my first child, I kind of felt a little bit lost in myself. I've tried lots of crafting things previously and things like that, but I'd never kind of stuck to anything as such. I'd done jewellery making, card making, I'd knitted, I cross-stitched, and I do still cross-stitch quite a bit, but nothing really, I don't know, called to me. And then I watched the sewing bee, and I just turned to my husband one night and said, I think I want to try sewing. And he said, do you know what, go for it, like you haven't got enough to do at the minute with a newborn baby. But yeah, so I just had a look online at local classes. I know a lot of people have kind of taught themselves, and I really admire that because that's quite hard, I think. But I managed to find something quite local to me, about half an hour drive away. And I went there on like a beginner course and I loved it, but I kind of only thought I would sew, I don't know, householdy stuff, cushions and things like that. And I remember like the first class I was at, I made a drawstring bag and being absolutely delighted that I'd made something. And I had like a mint green John Lewis sewing machine. But so that's how it started basically. I went to a class and then they kind of said to me, why don't you come to the next class, we're making a top. And I said, oh, I'm not really bothered in garment making. And they were like, no, just come. And I built up quite a big friendship with the people that were there, and we ended up all kind of going every Wednesday night. So we were like a little gang. It was lovely. And I remember like a stretchy button back top, and I just remember being so amazed that I'd made an item of clothes. I don't think it had ever kind of entered into my head that I'd be able to do it. And then that was literally it. That was it. Bug taken. And I remember chatting to my mum about it, and she was like, I don't think you'll take to it, love. I was like, don't you? I mean, my mum's really encouraging about everything. So I was like, really? She went, I used to sew all your clothes when you were little. I said, did you? She said, yeah, I used to sew all of them. oh God, it was bloody boring. I was like, oh, okay. But no, for me, it was complete opposite. I didn't find it boring at all. It sent me into another space. But I think for me, because I just had a baby as well, being able to go once a week and get out of my head and be creative, it was amazing. And yeah, I built up some really lovely friendships doing that. And then that was it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because we've got a question in the chat from Joanna's Feeling Crafty that says, does motherhood enable sewing? I heard the story so many times. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think that is it. I think it's really, I mean, really strange when you have, particularly your first child, you're kind of trying to fit this new life together, and you're kind of losing a little bit of yourself because everything is about this beautiful creation. And then I think, I don't know, I just was kind of seeking something else. I didn't know what it was, but yeah, it was perfect for headspace for me. And I used to struggle because I didn't have a lot of time to sew at home. That was the only time I could kind of do it. So it was my little bit of saviour, really. And then I would never sew at home. I would only sew there. And then it kind of all changed in lockdown where I could sew quite a lot. And I grew in confidence, I think, because I always had someone there to fall on. And then in lockdown, I didn't have anybody to fall on. And yeah, from then on, I built my own confidence up to think, no, I can actually do this without someone holding my hand. Not that, you know, the tutor was kind of there all the time with me, but it was just having that little warm blanket, wasn't it? So
Just, it's
yeah,
more like in your head, I guess, to feel
yeah.
supported. So do you reckon lockdown is like when you really got engaged, like with the sewing community online?
Oh, I tell you, it was an absolute lifeline for me. I am, I don't know if you know, but a bit of a social butterfly. So I have a very active life with my children, with my family, and also with my friends. So lockdown was quite difficult for me. I was not a person who liked to be in the house for an awful long time. And lockdown completely changed that for me. And because I needed something to do in my own head, I could kind of move away from it. My husband just said one day, why don't we set the little box room up as a sewing room, and then you don't have to kind of keep getting your machine out on the dining table and pack it all away, and you would just have a dedicated space. It was only a very small room, but it was just perfect because I could just do half an hour and leave everything as it was and then go away. So I found I became more creative because I had more time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Yeah.
your YouTube channel's really grown as well, hasn't it? You've got 10K
Yes.
followers now. It's
Yes,
incredible.
yes, this week, yeah, yeah. So I was really, really pleased with that. I remember actually the first time doing a video in my small box room and being so embarrassed with myself, just having my camera there and having a go at it. But I admired so many people that were doing it, and because I had so much time, I was watching a lot of YouTube. I mean, I used to watch Tamlin all the time. It was really very strange when I kind of started doing the YouTube thing, and then I remember her mentioning my name whilst I was watching a vlog and being, I just said my name, oh my God. And now I'm like really close friends with her. I just think I'm just really, really lucky, because I kind of talked about it before with my lovely friends who I work with. Michelle's actually watching this. Hi, Michelle. And we were laughing about it the other day when we were talking about it, because I think I was kind of umming and ahhing, and they were like, just go for it. And I remember going to Primark shopping one day, and then I recorded a video for the two of presenting my haul as a joke. And they were like, you actually should just do that. You should definitely do it. And that's kind of what gave me the confidence to have a go at it. And then, yeah, I've hit the 10K mark this week. So I'm not a big numbers person, but that really did mean quite a lot. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
that's 10,000 people that like
I
care
know.
about what you have to say. It's kind of surreal, isn't it? It's amazing.
It's really, really strange. I think because I was on the other side of it before, to then be doing it, you're probably the same. Do you know what I mean? It's strange, isn't it? Then when people are watching you, and yeah, it's a really weird experience, but a lovely one. And because of it, I've become, really close friends with a lot of people in the community, and I'm very actively involved in it. And yeah, it's been a lifesaver without a doubt for me.
Joanna says, do you record on your phone for your YouTube videos?
I'm I don't have any equipment at all. I don't have any equipment. I record on my phone. I use iMovie app on my phone. That's why it's all a little bit rough around the edges. I upload everything on my phone. If I can't do it on my phone, I don't do it, basically. I don't have a PC or a vlogging camera or anything like that. And when I watch other people's vlogs and they're beautifully polished with gorgeous music, I'm like, maybe I need to do that. But I think the problem is if I do that, it might take away from my time to do other things. So rough and ready is what I am, basically. I do have thumbnails now, though. Basic ones, but I do have thumbnails. So I've definitely gone up a notch in the last year, maybe.
That's production value for you right there.
There you go.
No more thumbnail lottery from YouTube with a bit of the old.
Oh, I did used to love that, though. I used to love going onto my thumbnails and it would pick 3 of them out, and I'd obviously pick the most outrageous one of the 3. I did used to have a bit of a giggle with that, but yeah, I ended up changing it, and yeah. I still do daft things on it, but you know, it's a bit more polished.
Well, you mentioned originally starting out in your box room. Do you want to talk about expanding your sewing room to the new big sewing room?
Yes. So yeah, I'm in so this was an extension in our house. We had an extension a few years ago, and this was going to be my youngest son's bedroom. But my youngest son didn't sleep for 5 years. So my bedroom was his bedroom for quite some time. And he was never really keen on being in this room, which was quite strange. And then my eldest son's got the biggest room in the house, and they kind of were chatting, and they decided one day that they wanted to share a room. And we were like, well, okay. So then we redecorated this room as the spare room, and we had a beautiful bed in here and a unit. It was just gorgeous. And then we were on holiday, and me and my husband were in the pool and we were chatting away, and he just said, do you not think you want to maybe change your room to Ollie's old room? And I said, yeah, I know, but what if we have visitors and blah, blah. And he went, I know, but how many visitors do we have? We need to make the rooms work for what they should be worked for. So he persuaded me, and then yeah, we came home, and within about 3 weeks I was in here like, yes. So I'm incredibly lucky. I have a huge cutting table here on wheels. I have like an L-shaped desk. I have my ironing board. I have a huge mirror now. Everything that I couldn't fit into the other room, basically. So I'm so lucky, but I'm also dreading when my youngest wants his room back.
Do you think your youngest will want his room back, or the oldest will want him out?
I think the latter of the two, if I'm honest. But there might be some bribery comes in at that point. I don't know. We do have one other room upstairs, which was part of the extension. It's smaller than this room, which is, we kind of like have all their gaming stuff and things like that in there, and they go and chill out in there all the time, because they don't have a TV in their bedroom or anything. But my husband was kind of like, don't worry, we'll make it work. Because I said, well, I can't get my cutting table out of the door now, so I'm here to stay. I've just seen Joanna's Feeling Crafty saying, convert the attic. My work colleagues say that to me nearly every other week. When are you going upstairs? Like, I've had an extension done, and that's put me off for at least another 20 years, having any kind of work done in my house. So no, I'm here to stay. Sorry, Ollie, but it's not happening.
But also, if you convert the attic, then you'll have to find something to do with all the junk that's probably in the attic.
I don't know what you're talking about. As if I've got those junk up there. My husband literally is like, if you don't make a closet core puff and put those bags of scraps that are upstairs inside that puff, we're getting divorced. Because every once a month, I'm like, just put this bag up there just for now. And he's like, no, stop it. There's like 10 bags up there. And I'm like, I know one day I will get round to making that puff, but not yet.
Irene's Shaw is not messing about. She just says, send your kid to boarding school.
Harsh, but I will consider that, to be honest.
That's the price you pay for the sewing room. Yeah. 50 grand. Send him away.
Fair enough.
So when you redid your sewing room, how did you already have an idea of how you wanted everything organised?
I'm a little bit of I wouldn't say I'm an organisation freak, but I have to plan everything out. So I don't tend to just rush into things. I tend to plan it all out. So I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but I did actually get some graph paper and cut little scaled things out to work out how I was going to fit it into the room to work best for me, and I do absolutely love it. The only thing I would like to maybe add is like a closed rail to put my makes on for like when I am talking through what I'm doing and things like that. But that's the only thing, and it just got to the point where I just physically couldn't fit it in. I would have to lose desk space, and I don't want to do that. So I'm very lucky to have what I've got, and I'm thankful every single day when I come in here that I've got it. So yeah, I planned everything out meticulously and moved everything round to work it all out, and yeah, so I knew exactly what I was doing when I came in here and built all the furniture, etc. Bit of a planner like that.
What Kate makes, she's ready to get to the meat of the stash chat.
Oh.
She says, all right, how big is your fabric stash?
Yeah, she's like, right, shut up now. I'm not bothered about that. Well, I didn't think my fabric stash was that big. And then I've obviously gone on to Stash Hub and had a really good look at my statistics. And I was really, really shocked because it says I've got 118 fabrics.
Oh, wow, nice.
And like, I don't know, I just didn't think I had that many. And some of them still, I've got a little pile down here. So what I do is when I get my fabric, I wash it, dry it, and then I put it in a pile here underneath my ironing board, and then I will put it on Stash Hub and put it away. So I bought a few fabrics recently when I went to Zotune and things like that. So I've got a pile here to still go on, and I've got 118 fabrics, which scares me a little. In fact, I was a bit like, I started feeling a little bit not anxious about it, but a little bit like, wow, that's a lot of fabric. But I mean, I make no apologies for it. It is what it is, you know. I get gifted quite a lot of fabric as well, which is incredible. I'm really, really lucky to have that as an option. So sometimes my stash can build quite quickly because I have subscription boxes, and then I'll get gifted some fabric. So it's not necessarily always me going out and choosing fabric and buying it, if you know what I mean. That's when sometimes for me the guilt can kind of kick in, because I'm like, oh, £100 of fabric, or going out for the day with the boys, and you know, it's just one of those things. But I didn't have a very big stash to start off with. It was definitely lockdown that did it for me. I mean, I had money in my bank because I wasn't going out and doing loads of social stuff or taking the kids anywhere or going on holiday. So I bought fabric. I mean, what else is there to do, really? So yeah, I don't think it's a big stash compared to some
like
people's.
it's not about the number, really, is it? It's like about how you feel about it, and you know,
Yes.
you've got space for it all, and you know,
Yes.
how would you describe your stash? Like in sort of feelings rather than numbers.
Right. Shall I show you my stash as well so you can have a look at it?
Let's go.
I might make people feel a bit dizzy. Right, let me turn you around so that you can see my stash. So it's a Kallax unit, and this is how I store my fabric. So it's all, I don't know if you can see, it's all kind of rolled up in individual units. So that's how I kind of do it. But it's only 8 Kallax units full. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's definitely a unit of measurement. So many stash chats, people are like, I've got this many Kallaxes.
I was watching some of the ones that I'd missed, that I'd not caught live, and there was quite a few people that were like, yes, I have 5 Kallax units or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's me, that's how I do it. 8 Kallax units I have. So yeah, I don't think that's that bad. Surely not.
I mean, people have been doing their stash confessions in the chat. Do you want to hear?
Oh yes, please.
Someone says they've got over 400 fabrics.
Wow, go on.
Someone says they don't even want to count. Dread it.
Yeah, fair enough. Denial is the best way.
In Agatha's Cottage says they've got over 700 fabrics.
Agatha, no way. That's brilliant.
So yeah, it's not about the numbers, is it? It's like about how you work, and how that inspires you.
I mean, do you know what? My absolute ideal way to have my stash would be to have some basics in each cloth base, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of each, so that if I one day kind of went, right, I want to make a sweater or I want to make a beautiful dress, that I would have the option there. But what I would love to do, which is never going to happen, by the way, is to be able to kind of plan out what I want to do next month, pattern wise, and then go and look for the fabric and then make it up straight away. Because I think sometimes when you have quite a bit in your stash, you fall out of love, don't you, very quickly.
Mm.
And then you're sat with some fabric that is money really on a shelf that you kind of think, do you know what, I've passed that. It's like fashion, isn't it? You know, 1 year it'll be a certain fashion that you'll absolutely love, and then 2 years later you'll pick it out of your wardrobe and be like, what was I even thinking? And it's the same with fabric, isn't it, at the end of the day? So I just think sometimes potentially having a smaller stash means you may be more relevant to the time, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you can fall out of love with fabric quite quickly. So I don't really want to get any more than 8 boxes, if you know what I mean. And even that sometimes I think is a little bit too much. But I haven't done any destashing at the moment. I've got a few fabrics I think I will destash. But yeah, I think it's still quite a lot for me. I don't want it to get more than that 8 cubes. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. Yeah.
But it's kind of a process, isn't it, destashing? Like, it can be quite emotional to sort of decide what's going and let go of it. So
yeah, I mean, that's quite funny you should say that, because I was talking to Rachel from Stitched Up over the weekend, and she was saying she's been doing quite a lot of destashing, and she said she's found it quite hard, but then it depends what mood she's in. So if she's in a bit of a tough mood, sometimes she'll go, actually no, and pull loads out, and other days she'll be like, oh no, I can't possibly get rid of that. So I think it kind of depends what mood you're in. But once I've made a decision, I can be quite brutal if I'm clearing things out, because I don't like a lot of clutter or anything like that. So if I'm in the mood, I can do it.
So we had a question on the box I shared earlier from Made by Bethan, who said, what's the ratio of animal print to other prints in your stash?
Oh gosh, do you know what, I wish there was a little thing on Stash Hub actually that said animal print tick box, because it would be really interesting to understand the statistics. Now obviously I'm a massive lover of animal print. I swear I could wear it every day and not get bored, but sometimes I really do have to cull myself if I'm looking and buying fabric, because it's what I'm drawn to immediately, and I'm like, you are going to look like Bet Lynch if you carry on. So I would say 30%. It's quite a lot, isn't it? And but it doesn't offend me. I could have 50% and genuinely be cool with that. So yeah, a lot of animal print.
You know what you like. It's a style.
Can't help it. I can't help it. And very little plain. If you were to look in my stash, there's the only plain fabric I've probably got is from subscription boxes, maybe. I've not chosen it. I don't know. Well, I mean, Joanna's Feeling Crafty just said 30% is healthy, but I mean, I should probably have a look at that and I'll report back, because it might be more than that. I'm not sure. That's just me guessing. But
Ginger Ninja So says, how many patterns do you have?
That's a good question, because I haven't put everything on Stash Hub yet. That's a process that I'm in at the moment. I do have a lot of patterns actually, mostly PDFs, I would say. Rather than paper patterns. I used to have a lot when I used to do, like the sewing subscriptions and things, and used to get 3 or 4, didn't you, every month with those. But I kind of found that I wasn't making a lot. So I'll only buy really a sewing magazine every now and again if there's something that I really love on it. I'm just laughing because Biolis has just said, didn't you buy some solid black for a coat? That was shocking. I actually did. I've bought 3 black fabrics recently that are plain. I'll have you know.
I mean, I think a leopard print coat would have been like a real commitment. That's a look.
Well, I kind of have one of them.
Two leopard prints. That's even beyond.
I've actually got 2 leopard print coats. I've got an Oslo coat that I made, gosh, a good few years ago. I think that was in lockdown actually, which is in a dark green leopard print. And then in January, I made the Fibre Mood Aria coat, which is in like a puffer fabric that's also like a khaki green leopard print. So I do have leopard print coats, it's always going to be part of my life, to be honest. But yeah, I bought plain black boiled wool to make a coat. So thank you very much. The applause.
Are you going to do a funky lining though?
Well, no, the coat that I'm going to make has actually got cutouts on the sleeve, and you can put pleather or velvet into the cutout. So there will be an element, maybe animal print, I don't know. Might be a little nod to it, but yeah, so we'll see. I've
Mel says,
seen my other friend Julie's there. I've got my pajama bottoms pattern because she's a friend of mine and I'm showing her how to sew, so she's excited because we're going to make pajama bottoms.
great place to start.
Yeah.
Mel says, you mentioned the subscription boxes. Which ones do you like?
Do you know, subscription boxes, I think, they're a bit of a hot topic with some people. Some people hate them and some people love them. I'm 100% a lover of subscription boxes. I currently get the Beyond the Pink Door one, and I also get the So Hayley Jane one, and I really do love them. I love an element of surprise. I also like being challenged. A few fabrics that were in my So Hayley Jane box previously that I would never have worn, I have made into something, and they've ended up being my most worn item. So I think it's quite interesting because I don't like a fabric to sit there too long. So sometimes it gives you that little nudge. Andrea had put in one of hers, a beautiful Lady McElroy fabric with lemons on it, and it was stunning, but it wasn't my bag really. I loved it to look at, and I thought, no, I'm going to make something. I made a top in it, and I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. So I think people can hate them because they don't like the surprise and they don't want to waste the fabric, but I do have still quite a lot in my stash, obviously, but I have a lot of fabrics that I've bought as well that are in my stash. So yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
I love them.
Also, the thing is, like, if you really hate it, you don't have to have it. Like,
No.
if you don't want it, don't get it. But it can be fun,
Exactly.
like, if you're feeling uninspired, just to get something different.
I think that's it. And also, I know I get the fact that, you know, pennies are tight as well at the moment, so people may prefer to spend their money in a way where they're making the decision about it. I'm very lucky to be in a position where I can afford to do that, so I'm all right. And it's very rare that I am disappointed in a fabric that comes in my subscription boxes. You know, I think Hayley and Andrea make fabulous decisions about, you know, their fabrics. So yeah, I'm more than happy with my subscription boxes. The only thing then is I'm getting 2 fabrics per month just on subscription boxes. So then if I buy some, or then if I get gifted some, sometimes I'm like, that's a lot of fabric this month. But yeah, I'm not complaining.
Yeah. There's worse problems to have than too much nice fabric.
Absolutely.
We had a couple of questions that are about, like, what would you like to sew, but you're like afraid to try?
I think the thing for me is probably something tailored. I've made coats, I've made a blazer, but I've made like the Heather blazer by Friday Pattern Company. When I look at people that are making tailored clothing, proper tailored clothing, I think I would love to go and do a course if I was going to do that. I tend to, for some reason, not have that much confidence in myself when it's something new. And I don't know why, because whenever I tackle something, I'm always really pleased with it. But I just have that nervousness around something that's quite a big project, because I don't want to be disappointed at the end of it. I think, you know, it's the same with trousers. I think you have to spend a lot of time kind of doing that type of thing, and then you go to put them on, you're like, I absolutely hate them. And I'd be devastated because I spent so much time on it. But that's the risk we take. So yeah, I think tailored, when I see people that make tailored garments, I'm just in awe, basically. Or, you know, sometimes when you go to the shows and they're on people on the catwalk with things that they've made out of scraps of denim, and it blows my mind, because I just don't think I'm creative enough to do that side of things. It's not really me. I'm a kind of, here's your instructions, get on with it, girl, kind of person.
Yeah, because you went to Frocktails as well, didn't you? There must have been some really good outfits there.
Oh, it was a fabulous night. Yeah, I mean, we went for the weekend because obviously it was in Glasgow. So, yeah, it was a wonderful night, and to see some of the outfits was really, really inspiring. And it's interesting to see how much talent there actually is out there. You know, there was one lady, and she'd done like a denim dress made out of lots of different denims, and it was like a bustier dress that then went out and went down at the back, and then she had zips on it, and she could zip bits of it up and then let it all down. It was amazing. It was so inspirational. And there was other people that had made huge, beautiful coats, and then they had the dresses on underneath, and yeah, it was their own bags, and yeah.
This
I
is
would
what I
recommend
find,
it.
like at the new craft house parties in London. Like I'll be
Yeah.
there, I'll spend like, weeks making a dress. I'm like, I've made my dress, this is great. And then you get there and then people will be like, I made my dress and my coat and my bag and my shoes. And you're just like, all
You're like,
right.
I haven't even made my undercrackers, never mind that. Although I'd love to.
Oh, thanks, Glass Sogal, for your comment about Stash Hub. I'm glad that it's helping you with your fabric shopping. What else? Would you like to be on the sewing bee, Ruan?
Oh
Says Sheila
no.
Sews.
Oh no. People say it to me all the time. They're kind of like, oh, you should go on the sewing bee. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. A, I enjoy it far too much to watch. And B, I'm not good under pressure. I'm not a fast sewer at all. I'm considered, I get easily distracted. I would spend an hour just looking at the fabric, trying to decide which one I was going to choose. So yeah, for me, the pressure, the time pressure would send me crazy. I would love to do that kind of experience, maybe not in front of the cameras and all that kind of thing. I'd love that part of it, but I don't think I dare do something like that. It would be really pushing myself out of my comfort zone if I was to ever do something like that. But I'm quite happy to sit watching it with a glass of Baileys. I mean, my heart starts racing when they're doing it, so God knows what it'd be like if I was doing it. So
Yeah.
no, please don't make me.
When I was talking to a few of the bees a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking them what was your favorite challenge to do, and they all said the transformation challenge.
Really?
Yeah, and that's the
That
one you
really
get the
surprises
shortest
me.
time for.
No, that's not, no. I'd just be there stood staring at the tents or whatever it was, the deck chairs like that. I don't know what to do. Someone help me. My problem is if I'm under pressure, my mind can just go. So then I would be in a blind panic. But I would love to do something like that just to kind of test myself to see whether I could possibly do it. But yeah, the whole cameras and time limit, I think I would struggle massively.
Yeah.
I'll just sit in front of the fire watching it instead.
Yeah, the sewing gardener agrees though, so that would be the worst challenge. I wouldn't be able to decide. I think you
Yeah.
kind of have to pick an idea, and whatever your first idea is, that's what you have to do.
I think
You'll
you're right there. We've seen so many people, haven't we, that kind of start second doubting themselves and then pulling things off and changing it. It's like, no, don't, just, you had that idea. But I think sometimes it's very difficult to potentially interpret the brief as well. So sometimes they can't, this is what we're looking for, but then when it's made, it's like they're looking for something either really obvious or the opposite way around. So whichever one it was, I'd be the other way.
Also, sometimes, like on the transformation, they're like, "Yeah, it's a good idea, but I don't like the colours." I think
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Excuse me, Patrick, you gave me 4
It's,
brown pillowcases. This
and
is your
also, it's
fault."
your fabric, so have a word with yourself, Patrick. Yeah, I agree. I just love watching it. And it's quite interesting because my husband says that he doesn't watch it, and then he'll be reading something and he'll be like this. And I'll be like, "What, you're watching it, love?" No, I'll just and then he'll be like, "Oh, I don't, that's a bit shoddy what she's done there. No, I don't like it." I'm like, "Sorry, what was that? Sorry, what was that, love?" No, nothing. So now he's just given up and he just watches it with me now. So
It's just there, like, they should have taken the time to do some understitching, and you're like,
no, I don't think he'd even go that far. I don't think he would know what that is. That's a step too far for him.
"Have you done any sewing with your husband?"
Good God, no. Oh no. It's absolutely not of any interest to him at all whatsoever. He's very supportive. I'm very, very lucky. Very supportive, lets me have time, looks after the kids. He's very happy for me to buy stuff. You know, he's like, do your own thing, girl. He's quite happy for me to go off pretty much once a month, doing the social sewing side of things. So I cannot complain at all.
Yeah.
He's really, really good.
It sounds like he's been incredibly supportive the whole way through.
Yeah, he has. It's been really good.
What? How about your boys? Are they interested at all?
No, not interested at all. I have said to them before, do you fancy making something? And I think my littlest might at some point decide to have a go. He really likes the clothes I make for him. My eldest is like, take it or leave it type of thing. But my youngest, you know, wears the pajamas I make him over and over and over again. He'd choose them over other ones that he's got in his drawer and stuff like that. So he really loves it when I make him something. He's asked me recently to make him a pink cushion with a red love heart on it. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, sounds
I,
very
be-
cute.
I best get buying some fabric.
Yeah, we had a question earlier in the chat from Mel about sewing for your kids.
Oh, yes. Do you know what? I don't actually sew a lot for them, um, because my eldest isn't that bothered anyway. He's 11 tomorrow. He's kind of, getting to be that young teenage type thing. So, and I wish I'd made more clothes for my little ones when they were little, if you know what I mean. So I wish I'd done a bit more of that, but I wasn't as experienced at that point. And I think because I don't get an awful lot of time to sew, the time that I do have is really precious. And I'm not saying that making clothes for my boys isn't precious, but for me, I want to make clothes for me. That's why I ended up doing it, and catching the bug was when I started making garments. So it's the same with my husband. He's like, oh, can you make me some more of them Hudson pants, because I love them. And I'm like, oh, do I have to? So I am what people call, I know people hate it, but a selfish sewer without a doubt. Yeah.
Are you
Bless them.
doing any gifts for Christmas?
I've made pajamas for the boys, and I'm making some jumpers for my mum, because she actually asked me. She never asked me for anything, and she asked me this year if I could do that for her Christmas present. So I'm doing that. And I am going to try in between Christmas and New Year to run some Hudson joggers up for my husband, because he has asked for them. But I've kind of made a bit of a pact with myself this year that I'm not going to kind of commit to too many Christmas presents, because it takes up all of November and December. And, I'm doing Vlogmas as well, which is quite time intensive. So I would probably never get to make myself anything. And I like making stuff for myself far too much.
Yeah, Body Craft says, how much time a week do you think you get to spend sewing? I feel guilty quite often for spending my time sewing.
Yeah, I totally get the guilt side of it. I'm very lucky because my kids and my husband never make me feel guilty. It's a self-guilt, I think. But, I do work as well, so it is hard. And it's hard to kind of find the rationale between work, home, sewing. I'm very lucky because I do some sewing social stuff, so that gives me some sewing time. But I would say maybe on average during the week, maybe 4 or 5 hours, to be fair, because my husband will sometimes go, oh, I've got the boys, you go and have an hour. And I'm quite lucky because I've got my room, I can just do an hour, whereas before an hour would be 20 minutes of packing up and putting everything down again and taking all the stuff downstairs to cut everything out. So now it's a lot easier because I've got this room that makes working much more efficient for me from a time perspective. So I'm really lucky that I can spend, just half an hour sometimes. But I mean, that's enough to run up a pajama top for one of the boys. So yeah, I would say probably 4 to 5 hours. But sometimes if I've got like a day off, or on a Sunday if the boys are going to rugby and I'm not going with them, I would have like 3 or 4 hours, and that's like a real indulgence. So
Nice.
but not really in December because we've got Christmas coming and my eldest birthday and Vlogmas and all that sort of thing. So it depends what time of year as well.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to show us?
So I have got some fabrics that I would like people to help me, give me some ideas. So that would be really nice if people could kind of help me with that.
Yeah, get ready in the chat, everyone.
Yeah, bombard me. I've got a very old fabric here, and I bought it. In fact, I bought it at the same time I bought this fabric, and I remembered where I bought this fabric from the other day because it's one of the oldest ones I've had in my stash. And it was from Samantha Claridge Studio when she did fabrics. And I bought this, she had an amazing sale. It was like everything was like less than half price, and I bought loads of stuff. And I remember the parcel coming, it was like 50 quid, and there was like 100 odd quid's worth of fabric. But I bought this fabric on a whim, and I love it, but I don't know why I bought it. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it. And it is this like a tulle with like 3D flowers all over it.
So it's kind of sheer.
Yeah, it's almost like wedding-y. That's not a word, I know, but I can't think of what else to say. I don't know, I was maybe thinking a top and just putting that on the sleeves. I think that would make a really good poofy sleeve. maybe. But
How
yeah, I
much do
bought
you
it
have?
because that's a good question. I can't remember. I can't look at Stash Hub because it's on my phone. um, I'd say maybe 1.5 meters, maybe. Don't know. Yeah, about 1.5 meters. Because it was when I used to buy really small amounts of fabric, thinking that for some reason I could make massive garments out of them. Right at the beginning of my journey. But yeah, so that one, I thought that
Yeah,
would.
I don't think you'll have enough for Clarabelle's suggestion of a wedding dress. Not that you need one.
Don't tell my husband.
After we spent ages talking about how supportive he was.
Yes. The sewing garden said a blouse with a cami underneath. Yeah, actually, that would be quite nice, I think, wouldn't it? Or something. I was thinking maybe with a solid, bodice, and then those are sleeves potentially. And I've also got this, which I think I've only got 1.5 meters of. And this, funny enough, that's really strange. This was from Samantha Claridge as well in the sale, and I bought this just loving it. It's a burnout fabric, but they've just been sat in my stash for so long. I feel like I want to do something with them.
Oh,
And I think
wow.
this would be really, really lovely for Christmas. But
Yeah.
it's like a burnout fabric, and it's got like these gold, beautiful, almost fireworks on them. And I thought that would look really nice. And again, I think I've got 1.5 meters of this as well, but I've no idea what to make with it. I think it's because I don't make anything that's sheer.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of like, what do I make with this?
Yeah. Dancing Queen Chris said that they'd make a lined gathered skirt, which I think probably they were talking about the previous fabric, but with
The
that
white
black
one.
fabric, that could work really well as well, especially if you've
Yeah.
got like a metallic gold fabric underneath.
Yeah, I've just seen a couple of people as well saying about doing maybe the Anna Allen Anthea. That is a good call, actually. I've made that pattern before, but in like a white linen viscose. But yeah, I love both of those fabrics. But when they're just sat there, because you're like, I don't really know what to do with them. And the other thing I've got is a present that Adam from Adam Sews gave me a while ago, and it's this beautiful silk that I love. You can see why he gave it to me, because it's pink and red, and it's absolutely beautiful. It feels incredible. I've got 88 centimeters of it, but it's by about 1.5 meters. So I need something that I can kind of make that will do this justice, because it's been gifted to me, because it's so beautiful. I daren't do anything with it until I know firmly what I'm going to do with it and that it'll work, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a smaller piece of fabric, but I just love it so much. So yeah, that's another one that kind of is just sitting there, and I really want to make something out of it, but I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, like a Sicily slip top or something like that would be really good, but it depends if you've got enough.
This is the thing, you see, because I am like about a size 16 UK retail type of sizing, I think it's quite easy for a lot of people to kind of make stuff out of maybe 1 meter of fabric if you're of a smaller size. My problem is, and I'm like average size of a UK woman, so sometimes I'm like, oh, I just can't. Like a lot of people can get a Donny shirt out of a meter. I can't. My hips ain't gonna allow that, because I don't want it to be too short either. So yeah, someone else had put for the other fabric actually about the high cuff sweater top, which I've got, and I do absolutely love that pattern, and that was a really good shout out actually. Might have to have a think about that one. Thank you for that.
Kate says save the pink until you're ready to make undies.
Oh, cheeky. My husband will have a shock. He'll be like, oh, where's your normal black pants, love, from M&S? Where have they gone? He'll be like, my luck's in. Anyway, we started talking undercrackers now. I need to pack it in.
Let us know in the chat if you've got any more questions for Ruan. I had another question earlier that was, do you have a cover stitch machine?
No, I don't have a cover stitch. I have an overlocker, but I don't have a cover stitch machine. A lot of people have asked me that recently, actually. And I think a cover stitch machine is really good if you're making, obviously, a lot of knit garments, or you're making a lot of sportswear. But for anybody who knows me and watches my channel, they'll know that I'm not very sporty. I won't ever be making sportswear unless I'm in one of those phases. That happens maybe once every 3 to 4 years. But no, I don't have a cover stitch machine, because I just don't think I'd get the use out of it. I know a lot of people that have got one and don't really use it. So I'm concentrating more on my overlocker more than a cover stitch. And I think now that you can get Mariflex thread as well, I think it makes everything a little bit easier, doesn't it? So it's kind of the lazy way out, I know, but it's also cheaper
than a whole new machine.
Yeah. Although, you know, a new machine is a nice purchase. I'm trying not to buy the Baby Locker Claim at the moment, so yeah.
Exciting. Right, let me just see. I've got a question that says, what is your favourite sewing related movie?
Sewing related movie, that's an interesting one. Can't even think of a sewing related movie off the top of my head. Sound of Music? She makes stuff out of curtains, doesn't she?
The first thing that came to my head was the scene in Nightmare Before Christmas where Sally sews her legs back on.
Oh, yeah. I wish they did do movies that are to do with sewing, to be honest. Oh, I've just seen someone saying I've used my cover stitch about 4 times and I've had it a year. Yeah, I hear you. And a lot of people have said about, oh, get a cover stitch machine that's linked with an overlocker as well. But then a lot of people have said, you know what, I couldn't be bothered to change it all the time.
Yeah. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Is there
How would you describe your fashion style? I think that's a really good question because I ain't got one at all. I would love to think that I've got some sort of style, but I just do not have any type of style. I think it's really difficult, as I would say I'm like a mid-size. And sometimes I find it really difficult to have confidence in what suits me and what doesn't. I'm all for body confidence and that kind of thing, but sometimes when I put garments on, I'm not comfortable in them, or I just don't think they look right on my body. And I don't know, sometimes I just think it's more difficult for me personally to find a style, because I can't, I love some patterns, but I just go, no, not on me. Too tight, too restrictive, not what I want. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, that one for me.
still figuring it out?
Yeah, I am. And I think once I find something that I really like, I'll make it quite a few times because then I love it.
Yeah, that leads on to Sarah's question of what's your favourite pattern?
I love a lot of different patterns. And the pattern I've made the most of is probably the Lyra by Tilly and the Buttons, the Saltwater Slip by Friday Pattern Company. But my absolute love is the Marnie by Tilly and the Buttons. I love that pattern so much, and I love sewing it as well. It's a real treat for me if I'm sewing it. I've only made 2 and I'm just about to cut out a viscose version. But it's a real treat for me to make the Marnie because I enjoy the whole process of doing it. And I love it when I wear it. Every time I put it on, I'm like, oh, I feel so comfortable in it. I feel like it is literally, that pattern was made for me, even though I was not keen on it at all when it first came out. I was like, no, not for me. Dismissed.
It's funny how that happens sometimes.
Kept seeing so many people make beautiful versions, and then I was like, no.
Do you do all the pin tucks?
Yes, so both versions of mine have got pin tucks, but this next version I'm about to cut out has no pin tucks, no nothing on it, because it's viscose and it's a beautiful fabric, and I think the fabric will do the talking.
Nice. Yeah, Ginger Ninja Sew says they adore your Zadie.
Oh, thank you. I've actually got 3 Zadies now, and I've realised the other day that I haven't put one of them up on the grid. I made one last Christmas in a beautiful fabric. It was a viscose challis, but it was actually quite thin, and I just don't feel as comfortable in it as I do in the one that was like a viscose twill. And then I've made another viscose play suit that I wore all the time over the summer and on holiday. So I go on holiday again in February, and I think I'll definitely make another play suit version of that because I love it. I love it so much. And I think it just looks good in any fabric. But personally, for me, I love a viscose version. But, you know, plain, animal print, floral, it looks good in everything, basically.
Studio 77 said they're searching these pattern suggestions whilst they're watching. And Emma also says, do you make many bags?
No, actually, but recently I've found myself drawn to them a bit more. I made a bag for my mum for her birthday. I made her the Grain Line Studio town bag, I think it was, for all her knitting things. What else have I made? I have made a couple of bags in the past, and my husband bought me a Merchant and Mills bag pattern. But I've recently been looking at First for Fabrics because they've been putting up, Tammy's been putting up some bag kits. And I think, yeah, I think I'm going to have a go at one of them because I did really enjoy making it as well, actually. I didn't think I would, but I did. So, yes, Noodlehead, that's it. I think they're the ones that Tammy's put in the kits actually on First for Fabrics. So they come really highly recommended, don't they? So I think I might have to treat myself to either a tote bag one or like a rucksack type one, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be my Christmas present to myself.
Yeah, I think the kits are quite a good idea because I know that Emma does kits as well at Studio 77. Because I think
Right.
that's one of the things that puts me off making bags because there's like
Yeah.
all the little bits that you need, the
Yes.
extra bits, and I'm like, I don't want to buy like 100 D-rings if I'm only going to make one bag.
Agreed. That's what I did. I think the kit I bought was from Little Miss So and So. I think when I bought the one that I did for my mum. But yeah, I love it. I love a bag kit because I think a lot of people either make garments or they make bags. So I
Yeah.
don't have all the findings and the hardware and things like that. So a kit's just perfect for me.
Well, Emma said she's happy to send you a Studio 77 kit if you want to try.
Oh, that's lovely. I must have a look. Actually, I wasn't aware that the kits were on there, so I'm going to go and have a look.
Awesome. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up there, just so that you can get back to your evening, Ruan. But thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I did think I was going to struggle to have stuff to say, but I should have known myself better, shouldn't I?
I mean, I think this is why everyone loves you because you're just so chatty and friendly.
So gobby.
Yeah. Everyone loves to hear about sewing, so I think it's amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much to everyone that watched as well.
And thank you everybody. I was really worried it was going to be like tumbleweed. Like, hello, is there anybody there? But thank you, it's been really lovely. I really enjoyed it.
It's really good. Well, I think you must have brought a lot of your fans to watch today because we had really great interaction in the chat. So there was definitely no tumbleweeds. It was excellent.
Lovely. It's been really good. I've really, really enjoyed myself.
But yeah, Ruan's the Yorkshire Sew Girl on Instagram and YouTube. If anyone somehow is here who doesn't know who Ruan is, but yeah, thank you so much for joining. And I'm gonna post this to YouTube, and there'll be a blog post on Stash Shop website as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching and for joining in all the Stash chats.
Oh, lovely to see you. Bye.